Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Green. We're doing another Bible study, 1 Kings chapter 13. If you'd like me to come speak at your church, or if you have any questions, you can email me at godsohman@gmail.com. So we begin in 1 Kings 12. It says, So he offered up the altar which he had made in Bethel, the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel, and offered up the altar and burnt incense. What he did was he didn't listen to the people, follow these young people that say, you should hurt your subjects and do all kind of bad stuff to them, and this is going to be the result of that. So 1 Kings 13 verse 1, and behold, there came a man of God out of Judah by the word of the Lord, and in Bethel, and Jeroboam stood at the altar to burn incense. So all of a sudden, when he made this decision to basically put a yoke upon all of his people instead of helping them, this guy showed up, and it said he was a man of God. It says here that a man of God went to Judah, from Judah to Bethel. Apparently there was no qualified messengers within the northern kingdom of Israel. This is a sad commentary on the spiritual state of Jeroboam's kingdom. This anonymous man of God was used in an important way. He demonstrates that one doesn't need to be famous to be significantly used by God. Apparently God couldn't find somebody in Jeroboam's area, so he had to send somebody else. And God has spoken many different ways throughout history. He spoke through Balaam's donkey in Numbers 22. He speaks through storms, good men, evil men, rocks and stars, or even face to face like he did with Moses. In Exodus, he gave unto Moses, which he had made an end of communion with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of the testimony, tables of stone written in the fingers of God. It says in Deuteronomy 9:10, and the Lord delivered unto me 2 tablets of stone written by the finger of God, and on them are written according to all the words which the Lord spoke with you in the mount out of the midst of the fire by the day of the assembly. So God actually wrote on these rocks with his own hand the 10 Commandments. And in the 10 Commandments, it's got 2 important ones. The first 2, thou shalt not have no other gods before me, and thou shalt not make into any graven images, which basically says that don't put anything in your life before God, and don't worship things that aren't God. It's pretty simple. Exodus 20, it says, thou shalt not have any other gods before me. Thou shalt not make into any graven images or likeness to anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters of the earth. And thou shalt not bow down to themselves, or not serve them. It's pretty simple. Put God first in your life, and don't worship anything that isn't God. But all throughout the Bible, we see people that worship altars and put things before God. 1 Kings 13:2. And he cried against the altar of the word of the Lord. And he said, O altar, altar, thus saith the Lord, behold, a child shall be born into the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon thee shall he offer the priests of the high places that burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burned upon thee. And it's a remarkable prophecy that would be precisely fulfilled 340 years later in 2 Kings 23:15. We'll get there in a couple weeks. Documents the fulfillment of this prophecy over the days of Josiah, king of Judah. Moreover, the altar that was in Bethel, and the high places which Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin, has made, both at the altar and the high places he broke down, and he burnt the high places and crushed it to powder and burnt it in the wooden image. This was a more pronouncement of judgment against the altar, and it also announced that the judgment would come through a ruler of Judah, or the house of David. It was a special rebuke and a source of concern of Jeroboam, who was always aware of the threat for those neighbors of the south. We know this didn't happen for some 350 years, but Jeroboam didn't know that in advance. He went to his grave worried about the fulfillment of this prophecy, which was a sort of imminent judgment of Jeroboam. So this guy came in and he told Jeroboam, this is what's going to happen. And throughout all Jeroboam's life, he was worried about that. See, because he was worried about the southern kingdom, but yet he should have worried about his own kingdom. 1 Kings 13, verse 3. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, this is the sign which the Lord hath spoken. Behold, the altar shall be rent, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. And it came to pass, when the king Jeroboam heard the saying of the man of God, which had cried against the altar in Bethel, that he put forth his hand from the altar, saying, lay hold on him. So he said, I don't like what this guy's saying. I don't like the message, so I'm going to attack the messenger. I went after this man of God. Jeroboam's reaction was immediate. He sought to silence the messenger rather than respond to the message. Instead of hearing the warning and saying, I need to change my life, he wanted to attack the guy that gave him the message. And it came to pass when the king Jeroboam heard the saying of the man of God, which had cried out against the altar at Bethel, that he put forth his hand from the altar, saying, Lay hold on him. And his hand which he put forth against him dried up, so he couldn't pull it against him. So the guy reached his hand out to say, Lay hands on him, and all of a sudden his hand dried up and he couldn't use it no more. And the altar was also rent, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to the sign which the man of God had given by the word of the Lord. God confirmed his word of judgment in two ways. First, he judged the disobedient king at the precise point of his most glaring sin, his outstretched hand against the man of God. And secondly, he fulfilled his ultimate word against the altar. And the king answered and said unto the man of God, Entreat now the face of the Lord God, and pray for me, that my hand be restored to me again. And the man of God besought the Lord, and the king's hand was restored unto him, and became as it was before. Now this means that Jeroboam didn't follow God, or else he could have just prayed for himself. It also meant that he's get to see God's power through this man of God, and he still didn't change his life. And he prayed for the wrong thing. Why not repent and say, I want to get right with God? Why not say, I made a mistake, God forgive me, and change his ways? It reminds me of a story about the Lazarus and the rich ruler. In Luke 16:24, the rich man prayed for a drop of water. Well, that's a dumb prayer. This guy's tormented and said he's so thirsty and asked for a drop of water on his tongue. Why not ask for a full glass of water? Why not ask for a barrel of water? But why not just pray to get out? Why not just say, I'm being tormented, pray to get out? Why ask for a drop of water on your tongue? And the king said unto the man of God, Come home with me, and refresh thyself, and I will give thee a reward. And the man of God said unto the king, If thou wilt give me half thine house, I would not go with thee, neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For so I was charged by me by the word of the Lord, saying, Eat no bread, nor drink no water, nor turn against the same way you came. And he went another way and returned not the way he came to Bethel. So this man of God was told by God, don't eat, don't drink, and when you come back, leave a different way. It's one of those things where I don't know Jeroboam wanted this guy in his house to pick his brain or to ask him more about God, but he was basically saying, this guy's trouble, don't hang out with him, don't eat with him, don't drink with him, and make sure you go back a different way than you came. Maybe Jeroboam was going to set a trap for him the way he came. Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel. Then his sons came and told him all the works that the man of God had done that day in Bethel. The words which he had spoken unto the king told them that they also to his father. And the father said unto them, What way went he? For his sons had seen what way the man of God went when he came from Judah. And he said unto his sons, Saddle me the ass. So they saddled him the ass, and he rode thereon. And he went after the man of God, and found him sitting under an oak. And he said unto him, Art thou the man of God that comest from Judah? And he said, I am. So this guy said, I want to talk to this guy. I want to get to know him better. He's an old prophet, so he's like, maybe I want some of that God juice back. I don't know, but he wanted to talk to this guy, this man of God, and he searched after him. And he said unto him, Come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I mayst not return with thee, nor go with thee, neither will I eat bread, nor drink water within this place. So this prophet came to this man of God and said, Come home with me and eat bread and drink water. The guy told him, God told me not to do it. God told me, don't drink bread, don't drink water. For it was said by the word of the Lord, Thou shalt eat no bread, nor drink water there, nor turn again by the way that thou came. So he's reminding him that God told me specifically, don't eat the bread, don't drink the water, and come home a different way. But then he said unto him, I'm a prophet also, as thou art. And an angel spoke unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, Bring him back with thee to thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him. So this old prophet lied to the man of God, saying, "Oh, no, no, no. God told me that it's perfectly fine for you to come home with me." So he lied to God. Now this guy has an issue. He's like, God told me don't do it, but this guy's saying God told him that I should. What should I do? So this guy basically gave them this ultimatum saying, God told me you can come home with me and eat bread and drink water. And so the guy actually believed him. Galatians 1 says, but though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. So if somebody goes against the Bible, he should be accursed. 2 Corinthians 11 says, for such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed to an angel of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed to the ministry of their righteousness, whose then shall be according to their works. He's saying that the devil himself can disguise himself to be an angel of God, so don't trust these false prophets. Back to 1 Kings 13, verse 19. So he went back with him, and he did eat bread in his house, and he drank water. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, that the word of the Lord came to the prophet that brought him back. And he cried to the man of God that came from Judah, saying, thus saith the Lord, for as much as thou hast disobeyed the mouth of the Lord, and hast not kept the commandments which the Lord thy God commanded thee, but it camest back and hast eaten bread and drunk water in thy place, of the which the Lord said to thee, eat no bread and drink no water, thy carpet shall come into the sepulchre of the fathers. He's saying, I told you when you go in this town, don't eat and don't drink. You did the opposite of what I asked you to, so now I'm going to punish you. And it came to pass after he had eaten bread and after he had drunk, that he saddled for him the ass to wit, for the prophet would have brought him back. And when he was gone, a lion met him in the way, and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way, and the ass stood by it, and the lion also stood by the carcass. So this lion took him out, killed him, but left his donkey sitting there. You know, this is the article here about 13 famous pastors that caught doing unholy things. A lot of times people say they're pastors and they follow God, but they're doing some really shady stuff in the background. And I'm going to list a couple of them here. I'm not going to read what it says. You can pause the video and you can see what each one of them says. While most pastors behaved badly were stopped, there were some who remained in power far too long. In the early 2000s, the Boston Globe uncovered hundreds of priests and church officials who had been abusing children for years without consequence. Thanks to a network of people positioned to relocate them, exposed the Rock the Catholic Church resulted in a new ordinance being put in place to ensure this didn't happen again. The scandals aren't always as sinister as abuse, though. Some pastors who claim to be clean as a whistle, on the straight and narrow, and happily devoted to their God-fearing wives, have turned out to be liars, cheaters, or caught with prostitutes. For congregations where homosexuality is frowned upon, these revelations can be particularly shocking. This is an article about Catholic Church and things that happen. First one is Ted Haggard. I'm not going to read what it says, but you guys can pause the video if you're interested. These are teen brides in the early Mormon prophets. You can see the prophet on top and then the girl they married below, and they were all underage. There's Jim Baker. He's well known for his wife Tammy Faye. Again, you can read what it says. I'm not gonna read it, but you can pause it. And even in the Middle East right now, people are marrying child brides. You can see these videos of the marrying child brides. There's Bill Gothard. He had a pretty famous homeschooling ministry. And again, I'm not going to read what it says, but you can pause the video and read it. You know, Lincoln wrote a book about enduring a difficult marriage. Sometimes if you're not happy, you still stay and you make it work. Here's Tony Alamo. He was pretty famous in the 1970s. Again, I'm not going to read what it says, but you can go ahead and pause the video and read it. There's Jimmy Swaggart. He was pretty popular in the 80s. Again, I'm not going to read what it says, but you can go ahead and read that. There's a lot of articles about pastors' wives who've walked away from their faith, walked away from their husband because of the husband's wrongdoing. Jesus didn't say follow Christians. He said follow me. Back to 1 Kings 13:25. And behold, men walked by and saw the carcass casted away, and the lion standing by the carcass. And they came and told the city where the old prophet dwelt. And when the prophet had brought him back from the way he heard thereof, he said, it is the man of God who was disobedient to the word of the Lord. Therefore the Lord had delivered him to the lion, which has torn him and slain him, according to the word of the Lord he's spoken to him. This prophet probably felt pretty bad because he knows he lied to this guy, and God punished him because of his lie. And he spoke to his son, saying, saddle me the ass. And they saddled him. And he went forth and found the carcass casted away, and the ass and the lion standing by the carcass. The lion had not eaten the carcass, nor tore up the ass. So he specifically went there to take out the prophet. He didn't hurt. He didn't hurt the donkey, and he didn't eat his body. And the prophet took up the carcass of the man of God and laid it upon the ass and brought it back. And the old prophet came back to the city to mourn and bury him. And he laid the carcass on his own grave, and they mourned him, saying, alas, my brother. And it came to pass after he had buried him that he spoke to his son, saying, when I am dead, then bury me in the sepulchre wherein the man of God is buried. Lay my bones beside his bones. So he put this guy in his own burial site and told his kids, when I die, put my bones next to his bones. For the saying which he cried by the word of the Lord against the altar of Bethel, and against the house of the high places which are in the cities of Samaria, shall surely come to pass. And after these things Jeroboam returned not from his evil ways, but made it against his lowest of the people priests by the high places, whosoever would. He consecrated him and became one of the priests of the high places. So Jeroboam had a decision to make. And this thing of sin into the house of Jeroboam, even to cut it off and destroy it from the face of the earth. Jeroboam had a great opportunity, especially in light of the promise of God through Elijah, reported in 1 Kings 11:38. Then it shall be if you heed all that I command you and walk on my ways and do what is right in my sight and keep my statutes and my commandments, and my servant David did, then I will be with you and build you for you enduring houses that I built for David, and I will give Israel to you. And Jeroboam didn't obey God and honor his commandments, and he never fulfilled his potential and promise. God told him, if you do what I say, I'm gonna honor you and be like, treat you like David. And he choose not to listen. And as the same principle works the servants of God today. We're not called because of obedience or used out of merit, but our disobedience hinders our potential for full use. Paul put it this way in 2 Timothy 2:21. Therefore, if anyone cleanses himself from the latter, works with dishonor, he will be a vessel of honor, sanctified and useful to the master, prepared for every good work. God uses vessels of honor, separation, usefulness, and preparation for their fullest potential. In his failure, Jeroboam became the prototype of the disobedient kings of Israel. This phrase, he did evil in the sight of the Lord and walked in the ways of Jeroboam, and his sins in which he had made Israel sin, used many substantial kings of Israel. And these include Baasha, Omar, Azam, Jeroboam, Juhu, Jerohoaz, Jeroboam II, Zechariah, Menhem, Piki. And there was one curious exception, which was Ahab, who was noticed to be much worse than Jeroboam. And that's in 1 Kings 16, and we're going to see him in a couple weeks. But guys, that's the video. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, you can let me know. You can also comment below. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Also, like the video. Tell your friends all about it. On the bottom right of the screen, I'm going to put the 1 Kings Bible study. Top left of the screen, I'm going to put the Exodus Bible study. And then the bottom left is going to be a video YouTube thinks you're going to like. Well, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.